So for a lot of people, it's actually not that hard to start with healthy eating. At first, they're pretty motivated to build healthier eating habits and work on their relationship with food. But what is actually hard is staying consistent and staying motivated, keeping that motivation for the weeks, months, and even years to come. So in this video, I'm going to give you my best tips on how to stay motivated and consistent when it comes to building healthier eating habits. So the first thing that you need to do is you actually need to make healthy eating pleasurable. This is really the key factor to staying motivated and consistent with healthy eating, because if you see it like a diet, if you see it like something that you're gonna do for a few weeks until you lose weight and then you're gonna go back to eating normally, if you see it as something like a quick fix, that's something like that, then you're not going to be able to stay consistent. But if you actually make it enjoyable and fun, then it's going to be much more sustainable. So I could make an entire video just on how to make healthy eating pleasurable, but I think that I already have like lots of content that kind of touches upon this thing. But what you really need to remember is that you need to be incorporating a balance of different foods, and you need to be eating foods that you like and that are healthy most of the time. So try to find where this overlaps, where foods that you like and foods that are healthy for you like really overlap, and try to eat mainly with these foods. And then sometimes you can also eat foods that you love and that aren't really like that healthy for you, or foods that are like really healthy for you but that you don't love. But this should be like in smaller amounts. Most of the time it should be foods you love and that are healthy. Then it's also not just about the foods that you're eating, you actually have to make everything enjoyable. So the cooking process, we're going to talk about that a little later on in the video. Also like meal prepping, meal planning, all of that should be something that's like pretty enjoyable. Don't hesitate to make your life as easy as you can, that you have like a clean, nice kitchen, good like kitchen appliances to help you, nice pretty recipe books or like apps that you really like, anything like that that can really kind of make healthy eating more enjoyable. You also need to make sure that you're eating the foods you love in moderation. This kind of goes along with the first point, but it's super important that you're not restricting, or else it will not last. This healthy eating habit thing will not last if you are consistently preventing yourself from enjoying your favorite foods. So you really need to incorporate these foods into your diet in a balanced and pretty moderate way so that you're able to enjoy them once in a while until you don't feel restricted, but also you're not having them like every single meal and creating like bad healthy eating habits. Depending on what your favorite foods are, you can incorporate them pretty regularly, and I'm willing to bet even more regularly than you actually think. In one day, you can definitely have your favorite cookie for dessert, or your favorite coffee that's more like a dessert than coffee for breakfast, or your favorite pasta with some cheese. You can definitely do these things, and as long as you're balancing that out with other foods, then it's really not an issue, and it's actually something that I would encourage because it will help you prevent restriction and binging and all of these habits that are really unhealthy that you don't want to be creating. And if you want more information on how to eat in moderation and eating your favorite foods in moderation, what that means, I made a whole video about it right here or in the description. A really important thing that you also need to do is to make the time in your calendar for all of these things, because if you're not time blocking certain moments to do all of your healthy eating habits things, then you're never actually gonna do them. You're always gonna prioritize different things. So make sure that you have a dedicated amount in your day to actually make a grocery list or meal plan, or do some grocery shopping, or do some cooking, do some meal prepping even. Anything like that, you really have to prepare for it in advance, or else you're just gonna have lots of other things that you are going to do and that you're going to prioritize, and you're never gonna get it done. So you really need to make it the top priority for you, and for a lot of people that comes with putting it in your calendar so you have no excuse and you absolutely have to get it done. No questions asked. You also really need to bring joy to cooking. Now, if you're a lucky person who loves cooking, you can skip this tip. But if you're not, like I am, I'm not a huge fan of cooking. You need to make sure that cooking is actually an enjoyable time in order to stay motivated and consistent in the long run. So things that you can do would be like watching a video, or watching a series, or listening to a podcast, or calling a friend or listening to an audiobook, doing any of these things while you cook, so you have something that you can kind of look forward to and have this little me time and do things that you actually enjoy. Or if you're not the only person who cooks in your household, then you can definitely have other people help you and you can all make the meal together, have a nice conversation, and it can just make the whole experience more pleasant. It's also crucial that you make healthy eating convenient. So we talked about making healthy eating pleasurable, but it also needs to be convenient in the sense that even if you enjoy healthy eating, if it takes you like 5 hours to cook a meal rather than like 2 minutes to get a pizza delivered, obviously, you know, you're gonna choose that pizza. So you really need to do your best to make it convenient. For that, it's really important that you batch cook as much as possible, that you always have some like grains or some veggies on hand that are like pre-cooked, pre-cut, and even better if you're able to like meal prep and have like actual meals ready. You can also make your life easier by using frozen vegetables, pre-cooked grains in like little bags, or using like a jarred or canned like beans, veggies, things like that. Again, that will reduce the time process much more. And remember that healthy eating doesn't have to mean making this huge elaborate 5-star dish. It can be just having a simple dish of like some quinoa with some tofu and some broccoli and having like a nice peanut butter sauce to put on top of that, and it can be literally that simple. Now, another important thing that you need to do is that you need to start small and simple. If right away you're like, oh, I'm gonna change my entire way of eating, I'm gonna change all of these habits, do all of these things, stop doing all of these things and eat like 100% healthy, you're not going to be able to be very consistent with that. So it's much better if you start out with like small, simple things that you can do that won't require too much work from you and that you can start to implement, and then you can kind of build upon these things. And the more of these little things that you're able to get done, the more it will kind of stimulate you to get you going even more, because it will kind of help you build momentum and you'll be able to see that what you're doing is actually having some results and you're enjoying it and you're able to do it. And it will really motivate you to keep on going with these simple things. Whereas if you see like this huge mountain of big things, it's really hard to motivate yourself in the long run, because you're just like, I'm never going to be able to do it, so might as well just not do it at all. It's also really important that you establish a routine or like an eating schedule. This kind of goes with like the calendar time blocking thing. If you tell yourself that every day you're going to start cooking dinner at this time and then you're going to eat at this time, then it's more likely to become a habit and then something that you really get the hang of and that you start not questioning. After a while, you're just going to do it automatically. You're not going to plan anything else because you're going to know that this is your dedicated time for your healthy eating habits, routine, or whatever you want to call it. And again, this may take some intention. At first, you have to plan it and it's annoying, but after a while, it will become a habit. So now I'm going to be talking about some mindset shifts that are also very important and that can really help you be motivated and consistent with healthy eating. So it's really important that you remember your why. There's a reason why you wanted to start building healthier eating habits in the first place, why you wanted to have more balanced meals, why you wanted to work on your relationship with food. You need to find that reason, and if you haven't already, and if you knew that reason a few weeks ago, a few months ago, but now you're kind of not motivated anymore, go back to that reason. I think it's really good to actually write this down. Write down your main reason, write down all of the smaller little reasons that you have that motivate you to do all of the things that you're doing. Make sure that you're going deep and that it's something really meaningful to you, because whenever you have like a moment where you're not motivated to keep going, you should be able to look at your why and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing this and I'm gonna keep going. I made a video that addresses finding your why that can maybe help you, that you can check out right here or in the description if you're interested. Reigniting the initial excitement is also a really good thing to do every once in a while when you feel like the flame is dying and you don't have this drive to do like the healthy eating habits thing. So whenever this happens, it's really important that you try to look up to people who inspire you. If you have actual like human beings living in your area that inspire you with your healthy eating, that's ideal. Spend time with them. But if you don't, you can also be really inspired by watching other people's videos or other people's journeys, watching how they were able to kind of change up their eating habits, how they were able to better their relationship with food. You can also follow like inspiring social media accounts, inspiring recipes, all of these things. And you can also try to really picture yourself once you have like achieved the goals that you want in regards to healthy eating, balanced eating, and having a healthy relationship with food, and really visualize yourself in that moment and just get that initial excitement kind of back up and running. Another really important thing that you need to do is to celebrate your wins. Celebrating all of your wins, even the small wins that we talked about, like when you're doing these small steps, even these small wins that you're having, you need to celebrate them, because if you're encouraging this behavior, this like rewarding this behavior that's like positive, or you're doing something good, then it will ensure that you will continue this behavior. So maybe tell yourself, if I'm able to eat balanced meals for like 80% of this week, then at the end of the week, I'm going to go out with friends. Or if I'm able to drink all the water that I need to drink today, then at the end of the day, I'm going to watch my favorite movie. You know, you have to have little rewards that you give yourself, and that will really motivate you to keep going. And along with celebrating these small wins, it can also be really helpful to track your progress. So anytime you have a small win and you want to celebrate it, track it, put it down, write it down somewhere in a notebook to kind of keep track of your journey. And this will help you specifically if you're following this thing of setting like smaller, more simpler habits. Then if you look back on it, you can feel like you haven't gotten much done. But if you actually track it and see like, okay, I got from this point to this point and I did all of this in between, and I'm actually making some progress, then that can be really good to look back on and to motivate you. And you can indeed realize that you are getting somewhere, and that you are getting work done, and that you are really going forward in your healthy eating habits journey. And finally, it's super important that you practice self-compassion. I know we can be really hard on ourselves when we're motivated to do something initially, and then we see that motivation kind of die down and we stop doing what we were doing, even if our intentions were so good. Then we get really frustrated with ourselves. If something happens, if you have a small failure, a small bump in the road, then you have to really be gentle and kind with yourself and know that that's okay. That is something that will happen. And the positive that you can get from this is you can see like what didn't work, what you can adjust now to make it work, and you can really bounce back from that and then do better. And you really have to kind of expect these moments and be kind to yourself when they do happen, because your progress is not going to be a straight line. That's absolutely normal. You're human, you're not a machine. So you really need to remember that, because if you don't do that, then anytime you hit like a minor bump in the road, you're going to want to give up, and that's really bad for long-term consistency. I also want to mention that in my course, I talk a lot about all of this. I talk about how to stay motivated for healthy eating, and I talk a lot about mindset and the mindset shifts that you need to have in order to create these healthy eating habits. So if this is something that you enjoyed, and if it's something that you want more of, then I definitely recommend checking it out. It's not available yet, but I will keep you updated and tell you when it does become available. I'm hoping to get it up in about a month or so. I'm working really hard on it. I really think that purchasing this course can really help with staying motivated, because it will tell you exactly which steps you need to do in what order, with like different worksheets to help you and different ways to kind of track your progress, so that you feel more motivated, because you're not just like alone. You know kind of the outline of what you need to be doing in order to be getting the results that you want. So again, I'll keep you updated on all of this. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and see you on my next one. Bye.